This episode of Hot Pursuit features a case investigated by Investigator McCulloch with the Orange County Fire Authority. The incident took place in April 2022, around 3 in the morning, when a vehicle fire was reported in a Walmart parking lot in Lake Forest. The fire was initially reported as a commercial structure fire, but upon arrival, it was in fact a vehicle fire. Firefighters from Engine 54 responded to and found that the fire damage was not in the engine compartment, which was unusual. So they called in the fire investigators. Investigators arrived on scene and found long stem fireplace matches at the scene. This episode highlights the importance of eliminating bias in investigation and the challenges of understanding the motives behind arson. Let's listen to see who the suspect could be. A match to remember. This is Hot Pursuit.
Stories from the fire investigation's front line.
This was a type of unpredictable weather event the Orange County Fire Authority had trained for.
Firefighters responded to the 2200 block of South Susan Street with a report of a commercial structure fire.
Fire investigators are still working on their full report about the cause of the fire.
Investigators need to pick through the debris and answer important questions like, how did the fire start?
The suspect was arrested and charged with 4 counts of arson as well as reckless endangerment.
Welcome to Hot Pursuit, the podcast where we dive into the mysteries and investigations of fire-related true crime cases of the Orange County Fire Authority Investigations Division. I'm Sophia Champeau.
And I am OCFA Fire Captain and Fire Investigator Scott Coleman. And together, we'll take you behind the scenes of some of Orange County's most fascinating and often chilling fire investigations. From arson to accidental fires, we'll explore the evidence, the suspects, and the untold stories that emerge from the ashes.
Every episode will bring you a new case, breaking down the events that led to the fire, and talk to the experts, including fire investigators, law enforcement, and forensic specialists, to give you an inside look at how these cases are solved. Just like you, I'll be hearing these stories for the first time. So sit back, relax, and join us as we uncover the hidden truths behind some of Orange County's most intriguing fire investigations. This is Hot Pursuit. All right, welcome back, Scott.
Hello, how are you, Sophia?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
I'm happy to be back.
Yes, it's been a little while. So today's story, or should we call it incident?
We can call it incident.
Is brought to you by Investigator McCulloch with the Orange County Fire Authority. We were sitting around talking about some of our different calls. And as he's telling me this story, I thought, you know what? Sophia would love to hear this one because it's got some uniqueness to it. And I think it's a good story that McCulloch enjoys telling and has a good way of telling it. So without further ado,
I'm excited. Let's jump in.
Okay. So in April of 2022, about 3 o'clock in the morning, we get a call for a vehicle fire in a parking lot of Walmart in Lake Forest. So Engine 54, they respond out and they find a fire that had occurred on the front of this car, which is a pretty normal scenario. Car fires start around the engine. That's not unusual. But as they started putting out the fire, doing their thing, they noticed that the fire damage was not in the engine compartments, which threw up some red flags to them. So they reached out to us and we responded out. So my partner and I, we went out and we get there and come to find out somebody was actually asleep in the car. So this guy kind of down on his luck, 25-ish year old guy, had lost his job, was living out of his car temporarily, and was asleep in the car. And somebody, like I said, 3 o'clock in the morning starts pounding on his window saying, "Hey, your car's on fire."
Oh my gosh.
He gets out of the car, was able to escape without any injuries. And then somebody else showed up with a fire extinguisher, put out the bulk of the fire until Engine 54 got there. So that was kind of what was passed along to us. So we show up, we arrive on scene, we start doing our scene examination. I was a lead investigator, and my partner started looking at interviewing the person that was inside the car, kind of trying to get a real good rundown of what he could find out from his point of view. So I start my scene exam.
Ryan, can you explain to Sophia what the difference is between our lead investigator and then our the non-primary investigator?
Yeah. So there's always 2 investigators. We do that for
any given incident?
On
Okay.
every fire that we go to, we have 2 investigators. For lots of different reasons. Officer safety, there's always somebody that
Sure.
if Investigator Kuhlman is working on a fire, I can watch his back at 2 o'clock in the morning in a city. But then it also is super helpful because we can take away bias. So I don't want to know much about the fire that I'm investigating. I can do the whole scene examination. And then we kind of, after I get together with Scott, once I have an origin identified, and I start working through that process and see if what the story that he's seeing and the story that I'm seeing based on the fire patterns that I'm seeing on the fire, they kind of match up.
Okay.
So as a primary, he's just going to do a clean forensic scene examination. We want to protect or shield ourselves from any information like,
Right.
say you and Investigator McCulloch are a couple and you guys interject, well, he had a fight, well, he doesn't love me or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't want to know that.
Right.
If I'm lead, I just want to go look at the fire patterns, fire effects, and see as far as that forensically will take me. Meanwhile, the other investigator will be collecting video, witness statements, and then we'll meet when he's ready. So when he's lead, we purposely don't talk to anybody, and we minimize our interactions with the fire crews that were there. And it's for that reason.
To go in totally unbiased.
Yes.
Yeah, we just want to remove the bias.
Exactly. And so I started my scene examination on the front of the vehicle, and what I saw was the fire damage was really confined to the lower part of the grill. So basically the front edge of the hood down across the front of the grill and then underneath the vehicle just towards the front bumper area. There was also some things I was noticing on the ground. There were some long fireplace matches laying on the ground. And then on the hood and just behind the hood on the windshield were some more of the exact same matches, long wood stem fireplace matches. But the fire damage was really confined to that front part of the hood. So no fire damage on the passenger side, the rear of the vehicle, on the driver's side, no fire damage inside the vehicle at all. So what it looked like to me was somebody had poured an ignitable liquid on the surface of the hood and then lit it on fire. And as the ignitable liquid is running down off the hood towards the front of the vehicle, it had caught the grill and the lower part of the front bumper on fire. Is what it looked like to me. So I completed my scene examination, and at that point, I had that this was an intentionally set fire. Somebody intentionally set this fire. So that's when I met with my partner. My partner had already interviewed the victim that was inside the vehicle. And he got his story, and his story was, he was asleep inside, and somebody pounded on his window, and it ended up being a Walmart employee, woke him up saying, your car's on fire.
Wow.
And then that Walmart employee went back and got an extinguisher and tried to put it out. Part of what my partner was also working on is he was working on trying to get video. Walmart parking lot, 3:00 in the morning, not very many people in the parking lot.
Right.
But Walmarts typically have surveillance cameras all over the place.
Yeah.
So one of the sheriff deputies had gone inside with my partner to try to get video, and they came back out, and he goes, "Hey, dude, you got to see this." And so
Your spidey senses are going crazy.
Exactly. He goes, "You got to see this." So I've already completed my scene examination. I know that somebody intentionally set this car on fire. And so...
May I interject?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have a scene where you have a vehicle fire. Your interpretation as of now, based on your fire effects and fire patterns, is that it looks like someone poured an ignitable liquid. It ran down. How did you factor in these long stem matches that are typically used for fireplaces? What were you thinking about that?
So that was just a weird thing, because prior to starting my actual examination of the vehicle, I walk around the vehicle looking at the ground. We're looking for things like cigarettes or lighters or any of that kind of stuff, and that's when I had first noticed that long stem match.
Seems so unique.
Yeah, it was, which was it was very, very unique, because we don't typically see a long stem match sitting next to a car that burned.
Right.
That's not a normal scenario.
Yeah.
And then, if I heard correctly, you saw multiple.
Yes. Yeah. There was some on the ground, and there was also some on the windshield, just by the windshield wiper.
I don't want to get ahead of your story. Had the occupant of the vehicle claimed ownership of that, or are we not there yet?
No. So no, he has no idea where these. Yeah, he has no idea.
So he's just as confused as you.
Yes.
Yeah, he just randomly woke up. Poor
Yes.
guy.
Yeah.
Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they come back with a video, and in the video, it's not a great video, pretty grainy, but you can see a person walk over to this car that's parked there. You see them pour something on the hood, and all of a sudden a big flash of fire, which indicate that somebody poured ignitable liquid on the car, and then a big flash. Fires don't typically just burst into flame unless there's an ignitable liquid. And so the interesting part this is, like I said, a parking lot at 3:00 in the morning at Walmart, not a ton of cars. There's a handful of cars there, and you see this person walk away from a now burning car across the parking lot into another vehicle. You see the lights turn on in the vehicle where they unlock the car. You see the person get in the vehicle and then sit down. I'm like, hey, that's our
Sit down
person.
and just chill there?
Sit down. Sit down in this car. And so we're watching this video in the parking lot at now probably 4 o'clock in the morning. And I turn around and I look over and there's the car.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
The car is sitting in the parking lot. So I go, hey, that's the car that the person got into. Let's go check it out. So myself and a sheriff deputy walk over, and sitting in the driver's seat is this 55 to 60-year-old lady just sitting there. So I knock on her window and she rolls her window down. I go, hi, do you know anything about this fire that started? And as I'm talking to her, I look in her car, and on the floorboard in front of the passenger seat is a 2.5-gallon container of gasoline and long stem matches. So I'm like,
Don't be suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. So she goes,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And she's been sitting there the entire time we've been doing our investigation. And so I go,
How eerie,
Yes.
though.
Yeah.
Freaky. The
that's
officer
why we
safety
have two
thing you were talking about.
investigators.
Yeah,
I know,
exactly.
yes. Seriously. Oh, my gosh.
So I ask her, do you know anything about the fire that occurred over here that we're in the process of investigating? She goes, yeah, I lit it.
Oh, just like that.
Oh, okay. Can you step out of the car, please? And so she steps out of the car. We take custody of her. And in the meantime, we start looking in her car, and this 2.5-gallon container of gasoline is 3/4 of the way full. There's a box of long stem wood matches laying on the floorboard right there next to it. So everything is kind of all lining up at this point. And this is the person that's responsible for setting the car on fire with somebody inside of it.
Yeah. And it's on video, and she stayed there
Yeah, she sat there the entire time.
with everything in her car.
And she admitted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says, yeah, I lit the fire.
Bananas.
Yeah. So my big question that I want to know is why? What's the deal?
Did you know the guy, or?
So we asked, did you know there was anybody inside the car?
Right, let's ask Sophia what she thinks may have happened.
Okay.
I always like to hear what, like, I'll say the word civilian, but
Yeah.
non-suppression people think what scenario may have occurred. Now, it's a guy and a girl, so I have a couple
Yeah.
in my mind. but-
Right. Or some like a disgruntled something, right? Ex-girlfriend or like
But-
roommate or something. I don't know.
But just to clarify, the gentleman was down on his luck in temporary living in his vehicle,
And approximately 25 years old.
25 years
Oh,
old.
really young.
Let's not be
Okay.
ageist.
And
That's
she's
all right.
50. Okay. No, I didn't know that. Hey, to each his own.
And-
Do you think?
So what do you think, Sophia? What's going through your mind?
Oh, that's hard. The age thing, because I didn't remember that he was
Yes.
quite a bit younger. Shoot, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say mother because that would be horrifying. Maybe like tenant, like maybe he was her ex-tenant and she was trying to get back at him and maybe evicted or something. I'm not sure.
I can see that, but it doesn't make sense to me. Now, was she residing in her car as well?
No, she was
She
not.
was not.
She was not.
So, okay, now it's changed for me. So
What do you think? Or you
well,
know?
at first I thought maybe some kind of love dispute or
Right,
whatever guy
yeah.
or girl thing. But I thought she was also residing in her car.
No.
Wait, can I say
Yeah,
one more?
sure.
Okay, maybe what if like that's his like not oh my gosh, not like son-in-law, but like maybe he was dating her daughter and trying to get back at something like that. Maybe something like that. Hell
So
hath no fury.
You're stuck in a love thing too.
Yeah,
kinda.
only because I feel like there's a lot of emotion and like because usually when we're talking about serial killers and stuff, it's usually male, right? And so
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking female brain, right? I'm thinking revenge or vindictive. Like I'm thinking that. I don't know.
So if you look at studies of, we'll say female arsonists or
Right.
female fire setters, they are very surgical or strategic. So if you say catch your partner in the bedroom with someone else, they will like burn the bed.
Oh, I see.
They will burn the clothes you were wearing. They will burn your
Ah,
car.
like
where
attached to that emotion.
they're very like,
Got
this
it.
is why, where guys like, well, I'm going to burn the whole house down if that's where that's the differences according to
Sure.
the studies
Right,
as
right,
of
right.
now. So I honestly don't know what happened here, but what I thought is that I thought she may be a resident of the parking lot and he was, and I thought maybe he took her spot.
Oh, I could see
yeah.
that.
Because
Yeah.
they get very
Transient versus
territorial.
transient. Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, that's my spot. The sun doesn't hit me in the eyes at 8 in the morning, whatever.
Yeah.
We've had conversations like that with some of our
That's a good
constituents.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
Mhm.
But now that she doesn't live there, I do
Does
not
not
know.
live there.
Now,
No.
let's think
Okay.
about it. She had to go purchase gas
Yeah.
and get some matches. So there was some premeditation.
Well,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking, especially like as a girl, right? Like if I'm not trying to catch my hair or clothes on fire, the long matches, or if I'm trying to go
Yeah.
underneath the car, like that's also very strategic in my mind.
I never
Because
thought
I
of-
wouldn't be like lighting, throwing it as a girl. I don't know. Maybe that's, I don't know.
How about this point?
Okay.
That the previous day, there were 2 separate fires in 2 separate parks in Lake Forest. Long stem matches were found there also,
In and around the same area?
in and around the same area,
At a park.
with no suspect identifiers. We have no idea who did it.
Same time of day?
No,
random?
it was early. This was the call we're talking about was at 3:00 in the morning. This
Right.
was in the afternoon previous to that.
Okay. Okay.
Did we have evidence of ignitable liquids at those, or do we not know?
We don't know. We were not called to those.
Okay.
The law enforcement agency handled those and did not reach out to us
Okay.
as an agency.
Man, now I'm stuck. Like, now I really want to know, because I don't know the
If
end
you
of the
don't know, I
story.
really don't know.
Well, just think about it. So female fire setters are rare.
Yes.
They used to be very rare. I'm finding they're not as rare as we were led to believe, or something's changing in
Sure.
society. I don't know. And usually it's a sign of some kind of, it's been some abuse or
Mhm.
something like that.
Yes.
So, man, I don't know. Okay, I'm dying to know. I guess, do you have any other questions, Sophia?
No, I just want to know.
Just, you can't see her, but her mind is racing.
I am.
She's
'cause I'm
looking
just like-
around the room, trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, because I mean, we've talked about this before. I am like a true crime aficionado. We can talk about Lacey Peterson. We can talk about all of it, right? And so I'm used to thinking serial killer, not
Yeah.
arsonist. And so it's very interesting to me because this is such a new world.
May I interject here, because I want to go back to what we were just talking about, the bias.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you've watched the Peacock Lacey Peterson story.
After you told me about it, I did watch it.
And did you see him? He picks up the phone and he starts talking about confirmation bias. That's how prevalent it is now, and where
Right.
attorneys are going. Even in my prelims, are asking me about bias.
Yes.
So this is why we separate everything, and it's
Right.
a good
Oh,
practice,
absolutely.
by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because like you were saying earlier, you go into it 100% blank slate with nothing
Yes.
impeding as you
Yep.
walk in. You're just facts only. That's
yes.
it.
Exactly.
Okay, we've
Yeah, yeah, let's-
derailed,
So-
but I
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
know
let's
what's
go,
going
let's-
on.
yeah,
So that's exactly where our line of question is going to go. Hey, what happened? What caused this fire? And our first question is, did you know there was somebody inside? Yes, I saw the guy asleep inside.
So she admitted to knowing there's
Wow.
someone inside.
Yes.
Had you known at this time there was 2 previous fires, or had that
No,
not come up? Okay.
that had not come up yet.
So as far as you know, this is her first
Yes.
offense.
Yes.
And as I'm saying that, I don't know if that's her, by the way, for the other 2 fires.
No, we don't.
Okay.
We don't have any conclusive evidence that she was responsible for the other 2 fires, but we did find apparently those long stem matches.
Okay,
is what I
that's
was told.
that's pretty unique.
Yes. And so why did you light the fire? I don't want to talk about the fire. We never were able to find out.
Oh.
She refused to talk about the fire,
What?
about why she lit the fire.
And she only said like, yes, I did this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she admitted to lighting the fire. She admitted it multiple times because we asked her, you lit this fire? Yeah, I poured gasoline on there and I lit the fire. Well, why? I don't want to talk about it. She refused to talk to us and give us a
Interesting.
reason why. She admitted that she knew there was somebody inside. She didn't know the person. They had no contact. The victim that we interviewed had no idea who she was. Just completely random.
So I'll tell you, Sophia, that's not totally abnormal. I had this really good case years ago, probably 24 years ago.
That's a long time ago.
It was a long time
that's
ago.
A really long time ago.
I could see back then.
Hmm.
But
Okay, baby.
This-
I'm just kidding.
this guy did not want to live anymore. And so he put what we call trailers, or he took newspaper and spread it throughout his house, hoping that when he lights the newspaper, it would spread the fire rapidly. And so he did that. And then he had a bathtub full of water. And he says, I'm going to end my life today. And so he sets all these trailers on fire, goes into the bathtub, Smoke starts coming in. He grabs his hair dryer and he drops it in the bathtub while it's on. And because of GSCIs, it cut off and it didn't kill him. Well, now the smoke's getting really big, black, and thick. And he's like, well, I don't want to die this way.
Yeah.
So he runs outside and we get him, and guys respond to a
Oh
naked
my
male on the front lawn. And then he runs away, and we can't. He hides in the bush or something. I don't know. We couldn't find him. So I'm examining the scene. I'm like, well, clearly this is arson. I don't know what the bathtub's about. Where's their dryer here? So he comes forward later that night. And so I start talking to him. And I said, and much like this lady you were interviewing, I'm like, hey, I was at your house. I just want to know, like, I saw a bunch of newspaper. He goes, oh, yeah, the one in the living room and the one in the family room. I go, yeah, I saw one in your bedroom that was leading up to your top shelf and getting into your clothes. He goes, oh, I didn't do that one. I'm like, wait a minute. I go, every room had them, but the bedroom one you didn't do? No, someone else must have done that. So
What?
they'll give you so much,
Yes.
and then they just stop and like deny. And
What's the point
I
at that
don't-
point?
I'm just an
Like,
investigator.
what are you saving? Like,
I-
like the shame is there.
That
like,
has
you
stuck
already
with
set
me
the
for
fire.
25 years. And this is I'm newer, so I started in '99. So I was like, why did he? I mean, clearly we know he did that. No one else
Yeah.
came in. He admitted to setting them, but he wouldn't admit to the trailer in his bedroom. And I'm
Weird.
like, wow, this is. And he admitted to starting the fire, and he told me, he goes, yeah, I was going to kill myself. I dropped it in there. Apparently, it doesn't work anymore. And I'm like, well, why did you leave? He goes, well, I didn't want to die by the smoke. He goes, it was hot. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's weird how
Bizarre.
you get these interviews, and they're like, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I don't want to talk anymore.
Yes. Yeah. And it was super frustrating, but our hands are really tied. If she doesn't want to talk, there's nothing we can do about that. I mean, that's a right. That's a
Yeah.
right that everybody has. They don't have to talk. But I mean, no history of this in her past. Lived
That we know of.
that we know of.
Yeah.
That we
yeah.
know of.
Yeah.
Was married, had children,
Oh my
lived
goodness.
lived
Wait, what?
yes.
Like a regular contributing person to society.
Yes.
Just
Okay,
lit some random guys car on
So
fire.
this nice mother in Orange County,
Mhm.
Lake Forest, as you stated earlier,
Yep.
buys some gasoline, buys or pulls matches from her house, and just randomly goes and sets a car on fire, knowing there's a human being in there.
That's what we found.
And they weren't linked or connected at all.
They were not linked or connected at all.
Huh. So how
The
did you
victim
find out about the other?
One of the sheriff deputies that was on scene said, "Hey, just FYI, yesterday afternoon we had a couple of fires at some of our parks. It was involving just like a bush that was set on fire, but they were similar long stem matches there." Like, oh, were we called? Fire department respond? No, we just put it out and handled it. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. Well, long stem matches. To this day, that's the only fire that I've had in the past 3.5 years where we had multiple long stem matches that were exact same types used on multiple fires.
Interesting.
It's not like a commonly used.
And
Yeah,
in the same
fire
area
starter.
around the same
Yes.
time. Have you
Hmm.
ever had the ability to go back and ask her about that, or where are we at with this right now?
So she was convicted of arson, and
So it was a conviction.
yes, she was convicted of arson and spent approximately 2 years, a little less than 2 years in jail.
And
Yeah.
she never said why she did it.
And refused to tell us why.
So bizarre. And I'm sure her husband was like, "What the heck?"
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just a very, very strange case. It's not very often that you are investigating a fire and the person that lit it is sitting in their car watching you the entire time.
Yeah, that's almost eerie.
Yes. Yeah.
Creepy
it was.
for sure.
Yeah.
That sticks in your mind. Why though? Because I asked some of you guys, like, hey, what are some kind of unique calls that we could share with our constituents here in Orange County as a fire investigator? I know we have tons as fire captains or when we were paramedics or something. But why does this call stick with you?
It's probably that we get. I haven't intentionally set fire. I can prove that. And then seeing the video of a person walking away to a car, and then that person remaining in that car 2 hours later, and we walk up and she's like, "Yeah, I set the fire."
That's why I thought she lived there. Because if you have a home, you think she'd go home.
That's what you would think.
Was she? So I feel like I heard this somewhere, and I could be totally wrong, but because you know how people return to the crime scene because they like to watch what's
Yeah.
going on. Are arsonists the same way? They like to watch it, like.
That's
Occurring.
reported that happens. We do have a case, and I think it's been adjudicated, where the gentleman started the fire. It was a huge fire here in Orange County. The local law enforcement tracked him on his phone, like real time. And then he had gone away and then came back and was in the crowd. We were able to find him. So, I mean, there.
Yeah, I've had that a handful of times where the person that set the fire is right there, and I've had multiple occasions where they're super helpful, like getting people out of the way for using the fire department lingo. Hey, move out of the way of the plug, and then I'd have a fire captain go, hey, that guy, I saw him at this fire too, that fire too. Look into him, and next thing I know, he's giving me his phone, and I can see all the videos of him lighting fires.
I think it's so funny when they video or record themselves doing illegal things.
Yeah.
So silly.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. But yeah, it was super frustrating not figuring out why. The why is always the interesting part. Like, what's the psychology behind this person? Why is this person that we know of has never set a fire all of a sudden now setting possibly multiple fires?
Well, and then you think the multiple fires, like, were you able to talk to her husband or her family? Like, if she had gone through something like a mental health incident or something, right? Like,
that was what I was thinking. There has to be some kind of a mental health component to this.
Yeah, for it to like just
Yes. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
So that's a quick little
I
case
love
there
it.
for you. I thought you'd be intrigued. I forgot a lot of it because I've asked him probably months ago. So I enjoyed this too because I go through and I'm like, oh, I didn't really think about that. I had a couple questions about, as a fire investigator for the Orange County Fire Authority, coming off the fire engine. So you're a captain.
Yeah.
And you've come into this section now. You're over 3 years?
Yeah, 3.5 years.
3 years. What did it meet your expectations, or like, is it, because now we serve the public in a totally different way that when we were hired as firefighters, I don't think we ever thought we'd land here.
No, absolutely
because you're
not.
quasi like law enforcement and investigators, and then we would just go put the fire out, and then we're like, all right, let's clean it up and get back and go to the next one. But now you and I, we're sitting here for hours trying to determine what happened. So what can you just tell, like, so our listeners know what it's like? Did it meet your expectations? What do you like about it?
Yeah, it's definitely exceeded my expectations. After 20 years of riding around on fire engines, going to fires, going to medical aids, I've been a paramedic, been an engineer, been a captain for 7 years now. It was incredible to change it up. And this is as different as you can get a job and still collect a paycheck from the same place. It's been super interesting having to dabble in the law enforcement world, which is not like Investigator Coleman was saying, is not something I've ever done before. All sorts of different terms like probable cause, reasonable suspicion. That's all foreign language to me. And it's been great to learn a totally different career. It's interesting going to all these different fires that we go to, because we get a lot of fires in Orange County, and walking into a fire scene and then evaluating that fire scene, finding all the different clues that we have that can give us the evidence that we need to push us towards that origin, where this fire started. And then once I get it down to that origin, going through there and going, okay, what in here caused that fire? And then being able to sort through and then scientifically speak to that in a report down the road. It's a very unique job. Very, very unique. There's a ton of challenges. There's a ton of continuing education pieces that we're constantly learning.
Can I ask you about, did you think there would be this much science in this field?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that was one of the most frustrating pieces, was working with someone like Investigator Coleman. He's been doing this a lot longer than I have. So I'm old. The lingo just comes out, and it's a totally different way of even speaking. Being able to, most firefighters in Orange County can look at a fire and go, oh yeah, it started in the back bedroom. Okay, now explain why. How do you know that? And then being able to articulate in a report that's going to be read by a judge, a DA,
defense attorneys,
all
of that stuff. Being able to
torn apart.
Yes, being able to articulate all that stuff in a way that ultimately a jury needs to understand all of the lingo that we're talking about. Being able to articulate on the stand what a plume-generated pattern means. It's like the average people that are walking down the street have no clue what that means.
Sure.
And
I work here. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
And arguably, I'm exposed to it than more than the average person.
And so it's there's all sorts of different challenges in this position that are very unique to investigations in particular. So it's been a really good experience.
I only say that because he catches that bug frequently. We were recently looking into like smoking as a cause, and more specifically smoking in wildland. And currently some of the books that are used have some information that may be a little dated. So we're constantly looking for the latest publication, like what's the time frame, what's going on, what's the condition, is the weather even conducive to this? And he found a really good study of like 2,700 attempts to set a fire. And so I'm currently going through it right now.
Yeah.
But he's like, hi, I found this study. And then we just keep trying to like hone the skill set of what's the latest science. And then for me, that's what I love, because it's never going to end.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah, the rabbit hole just continues forever.
Yes, it does. It
It's for my
definitely does.
ADHD mind. It's like, great, I'll never put an end to this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely one of those forensic fields where it's constantly changing, constantly learning, constantly providing new evidence to really make us better investigators.
And to get to the truth.
Yes,
An
for
accurate
sure.
determination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Investigator McCulloch. We loved having you, and we loved your story.
Yes, thanks for coming in. I love that story, and thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
And remember, Orange County, we're going to need your help. We have a few more episodes of the season, but on our very last episode, we're going to ask for your guys' help in identifying an arsonist. Our special guest, Investigator McCulloch, is actually the lead investigator on that case. Do you want to tell us a little bit about?
Sure. Yeah. It was a case that occurred a couple years ago. We had video of a person setting a building on fire, caused very significant damage to the building, and we need help identifying who this person is.
So, yeah, the reason we started doing this podcast was, number one, to let the citizens know of what we're doing and how your investigation section is working throughout Orange County. But really, we want to invite you to be part of our team and help solve this case. So at the last episode, we'll go over the case. We'll display the video, and then we have a phone number set up. And if you have any leads or you can identify the person, we're going to invite you in to be part of our team to solve this case.
Yes, be a part of our investigation, Orange County. We really need your help on this one.
Yeah, seriously, that'd be great.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you join us next time. Stay safe out there.
Bye.